The college basketball experience bracket picks and futures episode the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by our free bracket challenge. $2,000 winner take all. Enter today's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bracket. Once again, that's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bracket. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
Hey, this is Derek Stevens. I'm the owner of Circa Las Vegas. You're listening to FGPN. Let it ride.
Yes. Woo! Welcome to March Madness, baby. Welcome to our March Madness NCAA tournament bracket picks and futures episode. We got this a double header, maybe even a triple header if you include the SGP show we have going on after that. Yeah, I mean, we just had a game go final, and we had a Hail Mary. All right, we had a Hail Mary. YouTube.com/the college experience. We had a Flutie
batted down, right? Batted down, and then it got deflected 4 times.
Flutie to Phelan, Cordell Stewart, rocket left to Westbrook, Staubach to Drew Pearson. Whatever you want to say. We just had it happen with the Alabama State Hornets getting a dub as the bet detective cashes. Or I guess he pushes. He pushes the -2. That's a cash at that point.
Sharp cash.
He says sharp cash there.
St. Francis never in doubt.
Unbelievable. Unfucking believable. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Wow. What a great way to start our March Madness. Buzzer beater. Hail Mary, too. I didn't think Hail Marys happened in basketball. You had the Bryce Drew thing, but that doesn't really count as a Hail Mary. This is a legit Hail Mary. Rough and running. I lost my first half under, and I lost Alabama State -3.5. What a fucking world. I am joined by my co-host. He is the host of the Ride and Rush show. Make sure you check that out. Give it up for Farmer, video coordinator for Hall of Fame coach Bob Huggins and Frank Martin, Ryan McIntyre, aka Moneyline Mac. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to take a break from the coaching search and talk about this is why you say no to advancing the ball to half court. This is college basketball, March Madness, some of the best memories. They just added it. That looked like Jaden Daniels throwing that Hail Mary. Let's go. The Bears did not bat that down.
Mac tonight. Come on, make it Mac tonight.
Well said, buddy. Well said. Because, I mean, great fucking point there. Cheers to that, because we don't want that NBA bullshit in college. We love the most memorable games being like I just mentioned, Bryce Drew or Leitner or this. All right. A game Alabama State fans and players will remember their whole fucking lives. We're joined by third man in the booth. And once you talk to him, you're going to remember him your whole fucking life. Give it up for the host of the college baseball experience and the man on the boards behind the scenes here, the Noah Bieniek. How are you, brother?
What's going on, guys? Yeah, great first game to kick this thing off, and I'm much like with Colby. 2 losses, did get an under, but yeah, awesome start when it comes to quality of game, but on the losing end so far.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with that one. I mean, I'll be honest. If I'm I didn't throw as much money down on that game as
we
I threw on the next one.
You and I didn't deserve to win that one. They were trailing.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was thinking
so.
overtime. We're looking good in overtime. Oh man, yeah, great
Mac
way to start.
Was rooting for
madness.
his team to lose outright, and we were rooting for our team with laying 4.5 to go to overtime. I do surrender Cobra as the wildest layup goes into the basket with less than 3 seconds.
And then, I mean, the fact they were shooting lights out from 3 to start the game, I think I jinxed it. In the first 10 minutes, I was like, dude, they're shooting 53% from 3. There's no way that holds. And then, like at the 2-minute mark, it was like, I mean, I guess I was technically white or right, but
you are white.
I am white too. But it was they were shooting like I feel like 42% from 3 with 2 minutes left. So it did go down. It just didn't go. I didn't expect that to stay at such a high level, and we lose the first half under. Yeah. So this episode is about our brackets because we have another episode scheduled. Well, very soon, right after this, to talk about all of the Friday card and the NIT action for tomorrow. Which, by the way, since we're here. Jacksonville State moneyline play. I know the Bet Detective cashed this.
Quad lock yesterday.
Yes. Boom. 17-point win against Georgia Tech. I believe also myself, Mac. I can't remember, Noah, if you did or not. Kent State sticking it to the Bonnies by 20. NIT action in Bonaventure, New York. But yeah. All right. So this is our bracket, reveal odds, we try to hit you on all levels. That's why we talk CBI, NIT, CIT, the Crown. You if it's college basketball, we want you to make money at it, and we want to make money, and we want to talk shit to one another and have fun and enjoy freedom and all that good shit. You know what I mean? But my bracket's done, guys. And by the way, since we're talking brackets, it's been done for a while.
Is it all?
I made one change.
It's not like crumpled up and halfway torn off this year.
Well, I had to print it out about 3 or 4 different times because I lost it. I think I left it in the hotel, but it's done. And I did make one correction, not from last night's show, but in general. There was one team scratched out, one team added. That's it, which means I feel pretty good about this thing. How'd you guys feel about filling this out? How many brackets you go through, Mac?
I always just work off of one. I may change a game or two. If one team gets way too popular among all the teams, I run the other way. So there may be a game or two that I flip flop throughout the week. Maybe I figure out if I want to fade a team. I may figure out who I want to fade them against. But for the most part, 90% of what we talked about Sunday, Noah, when we gave out Elite 8, Final 4 way too early, is pretty much intact. So, yeah.
How about you, Bieniek?
I typically do 3. I tend to do my brackets based off the pools that I enter. Like the big ass gigantic pools that will have like 300 plus, or the ESPN one or the CBS one that you enter and it's got the massive prizes. Those I try to get a lot more cute with the upsets and fading a public team or two. In a smaller pool is when I will go a lot more chalk per se, and I'll fade like the local team. So I have Michigan State getting bounced early because a lot of our pool buddies are Sparties. So just because I know they're going to have a lot of them going to the Final Four, that's one of my strategies that I do every single season. And this show, I'll be giving out the massive pool one because that one's the fun one with a lot of the upsets.
There we go. And folks, while we're talking about it, Right now you have your chance to cash in, compete against us this March in we're giving away $75,000 winner take all college basketball survivor contest. March has never been this exciting. Enter at splashsports.com/SGPN. Once again, splashsports.com/SGPN. And also, don't forget about our bracket challenge. We're giving away $2,000 just for free. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bracket. Once again, sports gambling, get it in. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bracket. I think it's okay if you missed the first four, but you want to get these things in anyway. Yeah, check out those. We're also brought to you by SeatGeek. Look, I'm in Vegas tomorrow. I fly to Vegas, but if I was back in North Carolina or something. I know Raleigh's hosting some games. Providence, you get some NIT action at Hinkle. You get, the game today was in Atlanta, in Bonaventure, New York. Just scattered through the country. You get college basketball. Maybe you're thinking of going to a game, and let me tell you, as someone that just recently went to an East Carolina baseball game, there's nothing like SeatGeek. Like I pulled up all the apps because I was looking for I was like, what can I get the best ticket for the best price? And SeatGeek had you beat all the other competitors by a decent amount too. So I want to give them their flowers. But at the same time, I also want to give them a shout out because, they were legit. Not only they are a sponsor now, but I was really impressed because they were the best. So with over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and much more. Look, and SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a 1 to 10 scale, so you're getting a good deal. So look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And your boy Pick Dundee came through for you here because I got you a little promo code SGPN10 will get you 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. Once again, that's 10% off any tickets with the promo code SGPN10 over at SeatGeek. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. So shout out to SeatGeek. All right, here we are. We're back on the college basketball experience, and so Bieniek. So anyway, Mac, how do you guys want to do that? Should I just rattle off my dominating bracket so the whole world can copy it, and then become, I end up splitting every goddamn pool I'm in because someone else completely tailed my bracket. Yeah, I'll share with the world.
Hopefully it lasts longer than that Arizona one 2 years ago.
Very
that
true.
That was still tremendous content. Mac rooting for Princeton
God.
the entire game, and
Princeton was
Colby over there saying, "I hate sport. I hate sport."
Tommy Lloyd, man, he's never good for me. All right,
every time we talk about Arizona, every game in the regular season, you just always go back to that. You go.
It's like a Vietnam flashback. I feel like you all those people back in the Vietnam War, the PTSD. Like I just have that when I think about that game. It's just anytime Arizona's brought up, it could be like my wife could be like, I think we should go to Scottsdale for the weekend. I just think about that. I'm like, no, fuck Arizona. But yeah. So I'm just gonna we'll start region by region.
I think you should do your entire bracket, then Mac does, and then I'll
okay.
Go.
All right. Well, Auburn will be playing Alabama State, and I think Auburn will win.
Interesting matchup now that as a local. Sorry to interrupt.
I love it. In-state battle. I don't expect Alabama State to have a chance, but I just appreciate that for the. There's something there. You know what I mean? Like there's just the in-state battle effect of it. Louisville Creighton. I have Michael Creighton. The Blue Jays getting it done. Then I have UC San Diego taking down Michigan. We talked about this yesterday. Had A&M beating Yale, but Yale covering. I have Ole Miss knocking off the winner of the San Diego State UNC game. I have Iowa State taking down Lipscomb. I have Marquette taking down New Mexico, and I have Michigan State taking down Bryant. So pretty chalk with the exception of Creighton and UC San Diego. I have Creighton beating Auburn in the second round. I have UC San Diego beating A&M in the second round. I have Ole Miss beating Iowa State in the second round. I have Marquette losing to Michigan State. So Michigan State then taking on Ole Miss, and I have Michigan State advancing. I have Creighton taking down UC San Diego and Creighton advancing. And I have Michigan State knocking off Creighton and going to the Final Four in the South region there. The next region, which I forget which West, it's the West. Okay. I have Florida taking down Norfolk State, UConn taking down Oklahoma, Memphis taking down Colorado State, Maryland, Grand Canyon. I thought way too long about that game. But I took Maryland. I have Drake beating Missouri. I have Texas Tech beating Wilmington. I have Kansas beating Arkansas, and I have St. John's taking down Omaha. So pretty chalky there with the exception of Drake. And I guess sort of, I don't know. Memphis is a dog despite being the higher seed. Then I have Florida beating UConn. I have Memphis beating Maryland. I have Texas Tech beating Drake. I have St. John's beating Kansas. Then I have Memphis beating Florida, upsetting the Florida Gators. They took down what? They took down Ole Miss. I think they have the athleticism to potentially get the Florida Gators. I have the Johnnies taking down Texas Tech, and then I have the Johnnies taking down Memphis, and we have an Izzo Pitino Final Four. I mean, you guys knew I was going to do this, right?
I would have bet the house on it.
You know, I don't like this analytics bullshit. I'm rooting for both of them. Yeah. So the top bracket, unfortunately, the East I find to be the easiest region with a decent amount. I actually will say this. If you're asking me which one will you be most surprised, I think despite it being the easiest, with Duke's Cooper Flag injury and the lack of depth of they haven't. I don't want to say lack of depth, lack of experience,
and Malik Brown injury too.
Yeah. Like I could see anyone coming out of this fucking field. As much as I'm saying it's easy, but in my head I'm like, man, like Duke Baylor scares me a little bit. It scares me a little bit.
Roach.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like despite me saying, I think it's the easiest bracket. I think I had the hardest time trying to guess this. And then I got irritated. This is the one where I did have my scratch. I scratched off shit, added things back up, but I ended up taking Duke to beat, Baylor. And so I have Baylor beating Mississippi State. I have Duke beating the winner of the AU Mount St. Mary's game. I have Oregon knocking off the Flaming Libs. I have Arizona taking down Akron. I have BYU taking down VCU. I have Wisconsin taking down Montana. I have St. Mary's taking down Vanderbilt, and I have Bama taking. So I went completely chalk, with the exception of Baylor. Which
they're favored, right?
Yeah, I almost feel like this is good.
Dog now.
A 1 point dog. Okay.
This is the one that's going to burn me, in my opinion. Like this region is going to be the one that burns me. I have Duke beating Baylor. I have Oregon beating Arizona. I have Wisconsin knocking off BYU. I have St. Mary's knocking off Alabama. I then have Wisconsin beating St. Mary's and Duke beating Oregon. And then I have Duke beating Wisconsin to go to the Final Four. But I'll be honest, I thought long and hard about Wisconsin beating Duke. I'll be honest. This is why the bracket is insane. I thought Baylor could beat Duke. I thought Oregon could beat Duke. I thought Wisconsin could beat Duke. And then I was like, gosh, but I'm like, I wonder, those that are like 50-50 games to me. I went chalk. I think Duke's going to get to the Final Four. I think that like the injury has only added like an element of like, we're going to show the world. So, okay. So pretty chalky so far. The other bracket, I forget what region this is. Was it the Midwest? Houston taking down SIU. The Zags taking down the Georgia Bulldogs. McNeese State winning outright against Clemson. Purdue beating High Point, but High Point covers. Xavier winning against Texas and then beating Illinois. Troy beats Kentucky. UCLA gets the best of Utah State, and then Tennessee takes down Wofford. I then have Tennessee beating UCLA. I have Xavier beating Troy. I have Purdue beating McNeese, which I fucking struggle with that one, man. That one I thought long and hard about. I had Houston beating the Zags. I have Houston then beating Purdue. I then have Houston beating Tennessee because Tennessee beat Xavier, but I kind of thought about Xavier as that play against Tennessee. So pretty chalky shit here on that side of the bracket. So two seeds, 2 1 seeds, chalk Dundee over here. I then have St. John's beating Michigan State, and I have Houston beating Duke, and then I have Houston beating St. John's and winning the national championship. Mac, your thoughts on my wild chalky bracket?
Wait, who did you say for the national championship? You had
Houston
Houston
over
Sampson,
the Johnnies.
Kelvin Sampson, yeah.
Yeah, Kelvin Sampson. So you're buying into the Kelvin Sampson.
He's got to get it before he goes, man. He's up there, man. He's long in the tooth.
Well, I mean, your Final Four would be fun if that does transpire, because you would have Izzo versus Pitino, and then you would have the rematch of the Sweet 16 game where Duke won, where Jamal Shed went down. So if that does happen, that would be an entertaining Final Four. So, I mean, yeah, were you chalky to a certain degree? Yeah, but you did throw some upsets in there. So you can't take all dogs as much as I would.
I know, but I there's that stat that that you hear of, like double-digit seeds reaching the Elite Eight or the Final Four over the past, there's a stat. I heard it on VSiN earlier today. You've had double-digit seeds in the Final Four like a decent amount of times in the past 15 years.
Yep.
And I can tell you, when you look at that Duke bracket, if Baylor gets hot, they could go. Oregon gets hot, they could go. Arizona, fuck you, Arizona, but I think they could go, right? BYU, I think could go. Wisconsin, I think could go. St. Mary's, I think could go. Vanderbilt, I think could go. Bama. That side is wide open, but it's the easiest bracket, and Duke's going to benefit on that. Noah, your thoughts on my chalk?
I'm coughing from the chalk over here, but I will say, I think the Michigan State. I was looking at public percentages for the big bracket pools. A lot of people are picking State just because they're kind of off of the Auburn train. The narrative of the Tigers losing 3 of their last 4. Sparty is the most popular pick out of that region. So it made it an easy decision for me. And like I said, my local pool to bounce Sparty early. But other than that, I kind of don't have any issue with it.
What regions would you get? What would you rank the regions? I think the East is the easiest
by far.
I think the second easiest.
The West is the toughest.
I agree. The West is by far the toughest to me.
Yes.
I thought the second easiest was the South.
I don't know if I could really decipher, because is it really easy when Houston's gonna draw Gonzaga? But after that, I don't fear any of the teams in their region. And then the Auburn region, I actually have that one blowing up. So we'll talk about that in a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. So I had the South second. I thought it was a hard decision between the South and the Midwest, but I thought the West was clearly the hardest. I don't think there's not even close. The West. Yeah, I don't think anything is even remotely close to the West being that hard.
I joked they screwed Kelvin Sampson to Houston so bad that they would have been better being the 2 or 3 seed in their own region because they put the Zags as their 8th seed. You look at the bottom half, Rick Barnes got a good damn draw with the way that some of the matchups are going to shake. I'd rather be the 2 seed than the 1 seed in that bracket. But yeah,
you're right. Yeah.
The West, the West is headlined by all the Hall of Famers that have won national championships. So I think, Hurley, back-to-back champs, Bill Self's got 2, Calipari's got 2, and then obviously Pitino's 1, 2, and wherever he's been. So,
and then the hottest team in the sport.
Yeah, and then Florida.
Everybody's taking. How is everybody taking Florida out of this region? I'm mind blown. That's the popular pick this year.
Well, Texas Tech have profiled. Both of them have been on the show of us saying that's a team I could see going to a Final Four. Maryland, Texas Tech, for them to be your 3 and 4 seed. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like the West. I almost had Memphis in the Final Four. I think Memphis could be a dangerous game. Now they could also lose in the first round. That's what makes them. It's the same shit from a couple years ago with like Florida Atlantic. I was like, that team could go to the Final Four. They could also lose in the first round, and sure enough, they lose in the first round to the team that went to the Final Four in a game they probably should have won if they just protected the ball. I'm curious, so I just want to throw this out. Like, you can find stuff for the Elite Eight right now. I had Memphis in my Elite Eight. I had Creighton in my Elite Eight. Though in Wisconsin, those three were probably the juiciest plays there. You can get right now over at DK. Where am I at here? I had this written down somewhere. I don't remember, but hold on. Let me find this again. The odds on those three teams: Wisconsin is plus 300 to make the Elite Eight, which I actually kind of like their path.
Yeah,
I don't know about you guys. I like their path. I actually think that's a decent
I have
bet.
a different team walking through that exact same path that we'll touch on in a little bit, but I like that path.
Yeah. If you are interested in playing the Memphis Tigers, why do I not see it right now? Memphis is plus 2,000 to make the Elite Eight.
Well, they're a dog in their first games. That's why.
Still, but I think their length is going to give Colorado State problems.
It could,
right? And I think that in general will be like, I think they're just better than Colorado State in my opinion. So, then they would get Maryland, Kevin Willard in Maryland, which I actually struggled with the Maryland Grand Canyon game, guys. I don't know if you guys did, but that was one of the last ones I filled out, just because Kevin Willard.
To Matt's point,
what's
in
that?
The YouTube comments here, you're still confident in Memphis with Tyrese Hunter up for the tournament.
I mean, obviously you'd like to have them, but I still think, that team's deep. You know what I mean? So yeah, you'd like to have them, but I mean, I'm confident on them beating. I mean, not really. It's Memphis, but at the same time, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I have my Elite Eight. Not really.
Well, I think it's worth the sprinkle. I still think like they could give all these teams fits with their athleticism. You know what I mean? Like they fucked up Ole Miss earlier this year. You know, like why couldn't they do that to Florida? Right.
The interesting about this bracket is that we've seen all of these teams kind of on the same floor. Like this is the Maui bracket: Auburn, Iowa State, Michigan State, Memphis. Those four. Is there another one? Those four were all in Maui. You know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I could see Texas Tech coming. I mean, the West is insane. You can make a case for like a ton of different teams in the West because if Maryland did play hot and finally Willard has that year where he breaks through, because people forget even Rick Barnes went to the Final Four once. Yeah, so like that can happen. Yeah, that can really happen. You know, these coaches, they're just because you have that stereotype against you of like this guy folds. Well, they make adjustments. You learn as you go. Which is kind of why I like Penny in a way. I feel like he's a better coach today than he was 3 years ago. So, yeah. Anyway, Mac, you can fire away yours.
Yeah, into piggyback, and then I'll go into mine. If you keep putting enough good teams out there and getting good seeds and being in the hunt, you're going to break it down eventually. Matt Painter proved that last year. Dan Hurley did it the year before. Like you're not going to choke every single year. Eventually, you're going to get a bounce that goes your way, like Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett was a choke artist, and then all of a sudden, he finally got all the breaks one tournament. So
yeah, hang on 1 second. Matt Dix, FAU was in the Conference USA when they made the Final Four.
Yeah,
it was that, but Houston made the Final Four in the AAC, and UConn won the national championship in the AAC.
Yep.
So there's that.
The Napier year.
Yeah. Anyway, fire.
Okay. Great win, Alabama State. Auburn is going to absolutely throttle you. So that's your reward for winning tonight. So Auburn beats Alabama State. We talked about it last night. I got Creighton over Louisville. I got UC San Diego, the Tritons beating Michigan. I got A&M grinding it out and pulling away over Yale. I got Ole Miss beating the winner of tonight's game. I think it's going to be San Diego State. I got Chris Beard. A lot of people want to fade Chris Beard in March. Have fun with that. I'll take Ole Miss. I'll take Iowa State to grind it out over Lipscomb, even though they're shorthanded. I went back and forth. This is one of the hardest ones. I ended up taking Marquette over New Mexico. I think that's going to be a fantastic game. And then I got Sparty advancing against Bryant. Did you run down just round of 64 all the way through, or did you do?
I went region by region.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go back up to the top. I got Auburn getting to the Sweet 16, beating Creighton. I got Texas A&M beating UC San Diego to set up an SEC Sweet 16 in Atlanta. And then I got Ole Miss actually picking off Iowa State here in the round of 32 with being shorthanded. And then I got Sparty beating Marquette in a rematch of a couple years ago. So my Sweet 16 in the South is Auburn, A&M, Ole Miss, and Sparty. I got Auburn and Sparty meeting in the Elite Eight. And I've gone back and forth on this one, but I'll take Izzo in a short-term prep, beating Bruce Pearl in another Elite Eight game, just like he did in 2010. So I got Sparty back in the Final Four in the South region. Going over to the West, I got Florida obviously beating Norfolk. I got Oklahoma beating UConn. I think that Oklahoma in the non-con was really good. We'll talk about that game tonight. So I got Florida, Oklahoma in the round of 32. I got Colorado State beating Memphis. Nico Medved, love the way that they finished the season. I got Maryland beating Grand Canyon here. I got Missouri beating Drake. I got Texas Tech beating Wilmington. Kansas beating Arkansas. And then my big upset, I had Omaha stunning everybody in the Johnnies. So that's my 15. Rick Pitino goes one and done in March here. Moving ahead here, I got Florida, Oklahoma in the round of 32. I got the Gators moving on. I got Kevin Willard and company beating Colorado State in the round of 32. I got Texas Tech beating Missouri in that round of 32 game. I think that'll be a fascinating game if they match up. And then Bill Self walks into a Sweet 16 because the Johnnies go down. So that gets me Florida versus Maryland, Texas Tech versus Kansas. I got Florida. I got Maryland actually knocking off Florida. I think they can actually match up with them from a size and talent standpoint. So give me the Crab 5 versus Texas Tech in the Elite Eight. And then I got Guns Up, Red Raiders in the Final Four coming out of the West region. All right, let's go over to the East. Yes?
No. I'll wait for the end. Wait for the end. Yeah.
Duke over the winner of American and Mount St. Mary's. I got Baylor beating Mississippi State. I know a lot of people want to take Mississippi State, but I'll take Baylor's experience. I got Liberty knocking off Oregon. I know Oregon's a trendy pick to go far.
I'd struggle with that one because the pace, that was a tricky one for me too. Like that was a really, to me, one of the harder ones to project. But anyway, continue.
And Richie McKay and company have a track record of being a pain in the ass in March, beating Mississippi State that 1 year. So yeah, give me the Flaming Libs. Give me Arizona over Akron, even though it's going to be a painful win in the round of 64. I think they get out of that. I talked about it. I got VCU over BYU. I got Wisconsin over Montana. St. Mary's over Vandy. I love the Gale sneak peek. And then Alabama beats Robert Morrison. I think a close game. I think that's going to be a hell of a game. So that gets me to the round of 32. I almost took Baylor over Duke, but I took Duke to get to the Sweet 16. And I got Arizona beating Liberty. So I got Arizona, Duke in that Sweet 16 matchup, rematch of the regular season game. VCU knocks off Wisconsin on short prep with all those athletes, I think, out there in the Midwest. And then I got the Gales dragging Alabama into the mud and knocking off the Tide. So this region blew up for me a little bit. I got Duke up top against Arizona, and then I got VCU, St. Mary's in a Sweet 16. The Dukies are going down to Arizona and Caleb Love. Caleb Love is going to get the Dukies again. He didn't make anything against them in the regular season. Arizona's a different team since they played in the second week of the year. So give me Arizona to get that done. And then St. Mary's on to the Sweet 16 with preparation time for VCU. And then in the most Tommy Lloyd thing ever, they knock off Duke, and then they drop the Elite Eight game to St. Mary's. St. Mary's comes out of the East region. Randy Bennett and the Gales. Let's go, baby. All right, let's go over to the Midwest. I got Houston, the Cougs getting it done. Gonzaga is going to beat Georgia. That's going to set up a juggernaut game. My guy, Will Wade's going to get it done over Clemson, his alma mater. Purdue, I think, is going to pull away and beat High Point. The winner of Texas and Xavier, I'm on Texas. I think they beat Illinois in that round of 64 game. That's going to be an entertaining one. Then I do have Kentucky squeaking by Troy. Mark Pope doesn't drop his first game. There's a lot of pressure on him in that game. And then I have UCLA over Utah State and Tennessee to beat Wofford. I think Gonzaga is going to be a trendy pick here, but I think Houston's going to smack their ass with their physicality. So I'll take them. And then give me McNeese, the Cowboys, to the Sweet 16.
I thought about that, dude. I could totally see it.
I wanted to pick Purdue, but then I'm like, nah, I got to go with my guy, Will Wade. So Will Wade and company, they were a trendy pick last year against the Sweet 16. They get it done this year. They're headed to Indianapolis to play Houston. The winner of Texas and Xavier is going to beat Kentucky. So I theoretically have Texas in my Sweet 16, but if Xavier beats them tomorrow night, I can change that with the bracket. And then I got Tennessee. Tennessee beating UCLA. I think that's a bad matchup for UCLA. So that sets up Houston versus McNeese. Houston's going to just grind that out with their discipline. And then Tennessee, Texas again. Tennessee, Texas. How fitting. I think Ronnie Terry saved his job if he gets here. Rick Barnes beats him again for about the 15th time in a row, it feels like, in the last 2 years. Rocky Top, Houston. It's going to be a football game, and Houston's going to grind it out. Kelvin Sampson in the Final Four. So I got Sparty, I got Texas Tech, I got St. Mary's, and I got Houston. I got Izzo beating Texas Tech in the rematch of what was a great Final Four game 5 years ago in Minneapolis. Izzo gets it done over Texas Tech this time. Houston gets it done over St. Mary's. Houston, Michigan State, national championship in an era where all these kids want to get their ass kissed. It's Kelvin Sampson versus Tom Izzo. Kelvin Sampson. It all comes together. They finish the job in San Antonio. Go Cougs.
You guys need to hold hands and walk on the sidewalk together.
Hey, we're all in. Hey, we're all in on this redemption tour of Kelvin Sampson, baby. Come on, man.
Oh yeah, and just the mentality that, to me, all the teams that I had in the Final Four, minus Duke, like with veteran coaches and just the old school mentality. Yep. Maybe I shit on it, but I don't think so. I think, but Mac had very similar to me.
Did you like the Randy Bennett and St. Mary's?
I did. I paused on that. I had Wisconsin St. Mary's. We both had St. Mary's knocking off Bama.
Yep.
Because I think slow teams fuck with Bama, and I think they could. I really think they could. But man, I thought for a second, I was like, maybe St. Mary's takes them down. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I could totally see St. Mary's in the Elite Eight or the Final Four. I could totally see it.
It goes to my theory that if you keep putting together a good team and a good roster and a good product every year, you're gonna get some good luck in this tournament eventually. They've had some bad luck, bad draws. I actually think they got a pretty damn good draw getting Bama as their 2 seed, even though they probably should be a 4 or 5 seed.
Yeah.
San Diego State broke through. I mean, it took them a while. I mean, St. Mary's could be the San Diego State, in my opinion, of this year.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of San Diego State, I'm watching this rock fight of a game. Just watched a open layup, just dribbled out of his hands, and then shot a 3. Miles Bird. Oh man, look at this! Come on, he's young. Yeah, I mean, look.
I will say to Matt Dix's point, the Vandy game is tricky in the first round. They do got to get by Vandy, but I think
100%.
Their experience, I think, can get by Vandy. Byington in his first year, Randy Bennett's going to grind it out this time.
I know I said yesterday that this is the most. I guess the thing I hate is just having 2-2-1-1 in the Final Four.
You got to,
because one team is coming out of there, but it's just like, well, who do I trust? I trust Pitino. I trust Izzo. I trust Sampson.
Yep.
And then Duke's in the weakest bracket. That's pretty much what it broke down to me. Was like, I think Duke's in the weakest bracket. They have a nice ride in, but I still could see the upset happening. But yeah. Anyway, Bieniek, before you give yours away, I do want to let the people know that the college basketball experience is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. When it comes to college basketball and March Mania, one thing is for sure. Nothing's for sure. Upsets, buzzer beaters, Hail Marys, Cinderella's advancing. Top seeds going home early. Like my whole bracket probably. It's all going to happen. Bet the unexpected every single upset every day with DraftKings Sportsbook. Yeah, I look, with live betting, exclusive content, promos, and parlays, DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. Bet the unexpected with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code SGP. Once again, that's code SGP for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help's available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm is throwing an epic March Madness party. And you out there listening, watching, you're invited, and it's tomorrow. Yes. All Rhythm users are invited to a first 4 watch party Wednesday, March 19th at the Awesome Stadium Swim at the Circa in downtown Las Vegas. And it gets even better. Rhythm is also giving away a $200 March Madness future for one random lucky Rhythm user. Even if you can't make the party, you can still hit with the future bet. We got free drinks going on at the party though, so you should go. You also got Pick Dundee and company out there. Gonna be there chilling at the party, hanging out. You could call me a gap tooth motherfucker. It'll be great. Rhythm's March Madness stats from a season ago were fantastic. They had UConn winning it all, and their percentage of winners was 39% higher than ESPN brackets as a whole. Rhythm predicted Duquesne, NC State, and Oakland upsets. 45% of the Rhythm brackets had NC State reaching the Sweet 16. So what are you doing, folks? A free party, a chance to add a $250 future bet. When you sign up with Rhythm, go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party for those details. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party for those details. All right, we are back. Bieniek, fire away.
Yeah, just writing down the time codes, and then I'll be ready to go here. But yeah, my bracket, I'm giving out the cutest one, I would say, with a couple more upsets than the rest of the brackets that I've made in smaller pools. So I have Auburn winning the first round game over Alabama State there. I have Creighton against Louisville. I am taking the UC San Diego Tritons to beat my Michigan Wolverines. I'm sticking with that take. And I also think that this little pod and the entire region blows up because I'm taking Yale over Texas A&M. Give me North Carolina to win the San Diego State game and then knock off an Ole Miss team that has a head coach possibly flirting with other jobs. I don't know any more about that. I don't know if I'm as strong with that take anymore now that Indiana's locked up Darian DeVries. Sorry, Mac. But yeah, I'll still stick with North Carolina. I think that their space and pace and athletes might give Ole Miss some trouble because they're a very well-coached team, but I think the matchup actually is not bad for North Carolina if Hubert Davis doesn't look like a clown on the sideline. I'll take Iowa State over Lipscomb, New Mexico over Marquette, Pitino, Rick Pitino, that is 3-0 against Shaka Smart this season. Going up against Marquette, I think Richard Pitino probably looks at a lot of that film. Take the Lobos in that game. Michigan State beating Bryant. And then I have Michigan State also knocking off New Mexico. I have North Carolina beating a Iowa State team without one of their better guards, and Curtis Jones also not 100%. Tar Heels plus 425 to make the Sweet 16. I have a little bit on that. I have a little bit on both UC San Diego and Yale to get the Sweet 16 because I'm not I want a piece of one of these two teams. I think one of these two teams are getting there. Tritons plus 390, Yale plus 600. For the bracket, though, I went with Tritons. I took Auburn over Creighton. I took Auburn over UC San Diego. And then I took North Carolina over Michigan State in a rematch of last year's round of 32 game where the Tar Heels won that matchup. UNC's 10-1 to make it to the Elite Eight, and I have Auburn beating them in the Elite Eight. I have a preseason ticket on Auburn to get to the Final Four plus 650. That's now minus 135. Mac and I did a preseason show giving out the Final Four, and a lot of CLV tickets look pretty good there if you listen to that show and jumped on it. So to the West region, just below the South, I'll take Florida over Norfolk State, Oklahoma over UConn Give me Porter Moser. He's not been a bad NCAA tournament coach. I think UConn's a really popular pick. And for me, having Florida winning the next round, I think it's an easy pick to take the less popular team by far in that first round, only to just lose their next game. So it's a free point. And if not, I'm only losing 1 point because I think Florida wins that next game. I'm going with Colorado State over Memphis. I wrote it up on an article on sportsgamblingpodcast.com if you'd like to know my analysis there. Maryland over Grand Canyon. Missouri, I have edging out Drake because Ben McCollum, although he didn't get the Indiana job, probably still on the move after his team gets eliminated from the NCAA tournament. I'll take the Tigers. Texas Tech over UNC Wilmington. Kansas beats Arkansas. And then I have St. John's edging out Omaha in a closer game than maybe it should be. I'll take Pitino over Bill Self, and I think that's their second career matchup. It's crazy, but I think that's only the second time they've matched up in their careers. St. John's over Kansas, Texas Tech over Missouri, Maryland over the Rams of Colorado State, and then Florida over Oklahoma. I'll go Florida over Maryland, Texas Tech over St. John's. And then I have an Elite Eight of Florida and Texas Tech, two teams that I had in the Elite Eight in the preseason. I had Texas Tech to get to the Final Four at 18-1. I have a piece of that right now. They're plus 550 right now. I still think that's a great bet. I still think St. John's at plus 600 is a good bet because Florida at minus 125 to get out of one of the toughest region of all of them, I don't think is a great bet. But I am going to take the Gators to get out of the West region. Moving on to the softest region, the East, I have Duke winning their first game. I'm going with Mississippi State in what I think will be a high-scoring battle. Oregon over Liberty, Arizona against Akron there. And then I'm going with BYU over VCU. Wisconsin beats Montana. I changed my mind on this pick, Mac. I went with St. Mary's over Vanderbilt. I looked at this matchup a little bit, and I think the Gales will have their way on the glass. Vanderbilt does have the athletes to maybe give the SMC some issues, but I'll go St. Mary's there. And then I went with Alabama in that matchup against Robert Morris. I'll go Alabama over St. Mary's. I didn't get cute with Alabama there, but I did get cute with them losing to BYU. I have BYU in the Elite Eight beating Alabama, but I'm not confident enough to place a bet on that. I have Oregon beating Arizona to get to the Sweet 16. That's plus 250. I grabbed some of that. Duke over Mississippi State, Duke over Oregon, Duke over BYU in the Elite Eight. I have Duke to get to the Final Four. I had a plus 200 ticket in the preseason there, and they're minus 120 right now. And then the final region, the Midwest, I'll go Gonzaga beating Georgia. Houston, of course, beating SIU Edwardsville. Sorry to the Cougars there of Edwardsville. I went with Clemson over McNeese. Now that we know that Brownell's not getting the Indiana job, it makes it a little bit more comfortable for me to be bold enough to take that pick and not worry about it. So I think the Tigers defense is going to be able to keep up with McNeese's slow pace of play. And I like the experience of that Clemson team already being to the Elite Eight. I have them going just as far this season. High Point over Purdue is another big upset prediction of mine. I think they match up pretty dang well against the Boilermakers. I'll go Illinois over the winner of the play-in game. I took Kentucky over Troy. I went with UCLA over Utah State, and then Tennessee over Wofford. I took Tennessee over UCLA. I'm going with Brad Underwood over Mark Pope. Pope doesn't have an NCAA tournament win yet in his career, and I think Underwood's actually an underrated coach. He has had his blunderish moments in the NCAA tournament, but he has had some good ones too. So I'll go with the Illini there against the not fully 100% Wildcats team. I went with Clemson over High Point, and that makes it easy. But I have a plus 140 ticket on the Tigers to get to the Sweet 16. I went with Houston over Gonzaga, and then I'm going to go with Clemson in Indianapolis against Houston. I have the Tigers winning that matchup. I think that this will be a low-scoring game, and Clemson might have the offensive pieces to knock off the Cougars. And I saw that a lot of people were taking Houston to get out of this region, and I was not comfortable with that, knowing that Gonzaga is that round 2 game. So I got cute here. I went with the Tigers to get to the Elite Eight, and they're going to face an old foe, Rick Barnes in Tennessee, when they get to the Elite Eight. And I have Clemson beating them. So I have Clemson plus 650 to get to the Elite Eight. I have them 14-1 to get to the Final Four. And I'm currently holding a preseason ticket of plus 250 for Houston to get to the Final Four. So my Final Four is Auburn against Florida, Duke against Clemson. It's a little bit of College World Series spice of 2024, SEC versus ACC. We're going to get an SEC-ACC final in my bracket. I went with Florida over Auburn and Duke over Clemson. Give me the Gators to beat the Blue Devils in the national championship.
Wow, a Florida fan picking Florida to win the national championship. I mean, I guess everyone else. I guess everyone else picked it. So I mean, why not? Yeah.
You guys went with Houston.
I know.
They're still one.
I know.
Hey, we're not as
but they've been there lately.
Yeah.
But still,
neither of you guys took
Auburn,
so I was different there. You guys both went Michigan State. So
Auburn was tempting to take to the Final Four, especially after I saw Stephen A. fucking call him out today. I go, what are you talking about? Auburn is still really fucking good. Everybody's trashing Auburn a little bit too much right now. Like, okay, they hit a little bit of a bump in the road. They also were like 29-2 prior to that. Like 15 quad 1 wins.
I just think it's you want to be playing your best ball towards the end of the year, and they haven't looked like they're playing their best ball. But still, I mean, you can't delete the whole season.
Barnes.
that road.
I think I proved mine, right? But Shire's going to get to his first Final Four in his 3rd year. Barnes will still only have one in 77 years of being a college basketball head coach.
Barnes got the one team I thought he couldn't get. They can't out Houston, in my opinion. Like if they got in any other 1 seed, I think that they could have grinded it.
They still got a nice path, though. If I'm being honest,
they got a nice.
I think they have one. Like if you throw out the East region, any other thing that I think is the easiest road, it's Tennessee.
Like if I'm Tennessee, I'd rather play Duke than Houston from a matchup standpoint.
Sure.
Like Houston, like they just want to fucking muck it up and punch you in the fucking mouth, but that's what Houston does, and they're a little bit better at it, in my opinion.
That's what Tennessee does. You mean? Yeah.
You're picking up what I'm putting down or whatever. The saying is.
Hang on. I want to talk about some futures for the national championship that maybe we don't have on our bracket that we still think is very possible, juicy. Maybe you want to throw down some money on that, maybe even the Final Four. But before I do all of that, I want to let you folks know that the college basketball experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes. We've been killing it on Underdog Fantasy. You can find an edge really in college hoops. We've been covering it heavy. I know Cannabis Capper's been writing these articles, sportsgamblingpodcast.com. We got a bunch of stuff riding on the games tonight. We already did our plays for tomorrow, or sorry, for Thursday. So I can't give out more plays right now, but just know that they have a college basketball edge that you cannot find elsewhere. And same for the other sports too. MLB, NHL, UFL, CFL, NFL, college football, MMA, PGA, everything. So, you're going to want to check that out. Sign up. And when you do, sign up with our promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer. Up to $1,000 in bonus credits. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Edge Boost. Yes. An Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied at the sportsbook, DFS site, sweepstakes site, racetrack, or casino. Plus, you can earn up to $750 per month in cashback rewards for using your Edge Boost card. And you know your money is safe as the card is FDIC insured. The best part's no credit checks. It's completely free. So sign up today at Edge Boost and enter our $2,000 bracket contest for free. Sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bracket. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bracket. All right. North Carolina's up 8. San Diego State's offense looks fucking horrible. But
we gotta go to the press and muck this up. It's too pretty right now.
Yeah. I didn't like a couple of the calls early on.
Oh, dude! It's
I should expect that from North Carolina.
Did you see that a call after the layup was already missed? He comes in flying block.
Yeah,
get out of here.
I did not like a couple. There was one a couple possessions ago that I thought was weak. Yeah, Yeah. So pulling up the odds, guys. I know we gave out our Final Four, we gave out our national champions, but Houston to win the Natty. I mean, yeah, I guess there's some value, but I want to know like where's that threshold of like how many teams can really win the national championship to you guys, and what's the juiciest team as far as like you think they could actually win this thing, and like where's that cutoff? So what Duke, Florida. So the odds on DK is like Duke's the favorite. Yeah. Florida is the second favorite. Auburn's the third favorite. Houston's the fourth favorite. Then it jumps to Alabama and Tennessee being tied. Then it jumps to Michigan State. Then it jumps to St. John's. Then it jumps to Texas Tech. Then it jumps to fucking Maryland. Then Maryland and Iowa State are tied. Then Gonzaga tied with Arizona. Then Kentucky tied with Wisconsin. Then Michigan at plus 7,500. But I mean, we're pretty far down. Where do you cut that off, Mac?
Well, it speaks to how fucking hard this West region is. That they have 4 out of the top 10.
Yeah. It's just insane.
That's brutal. I think Texas Tech can win it all. I think St. John's, Michigan State, Tennessee. I think that group.
I just went through the bracket. I think 12 teams I could take to win the national championship.
Kansas 90-1.
That is probably like getting value on a team that has tons of experience.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like tons of that's probably one of the ones you would circle, like that could actually win the thing. That's not in the top 10.
What'd you say Gonzaga was?
Kansas.
Gonzaga's plus 5,000. So it's like you're sitting there. They're like,
yeah.
They're 12 back. They're 12th best odds in the nation. So,
which I said 12 teams.
What about BYU? Could they actually win the national championship?
I have them getting the Elite Eight, but I don't think they can win 6 games in a row.
They're so jump shot reliant. That's the thing. Like I would trust, and I mean it's Kevin Young's first year. I don't think they can win it. Like with Self, at least we know we've seen Self do it, and they do. They were preseason number 1 for a reason, and they have a good defense. Can they make shots? Is the question. Whether BYU, it's like they have to make shots.
Yeah. What about? I mean, I guess could Baylor make a run? Could Baylor make a run?
Going back on what I said about BYU, they did win 9 games in a row just recently, so maybe they could win 6 in a row.
But does that mean that all right? So they just won 9. Can they win 6 more? No, that'd be 15 out of 16.
I don't know. Playing their best ball at the right time.
I think you look at like the East region, other than Duke, and you say someone could come out of there, and if you get to the Final Four, then who knows who the fuck you're playing? You know,
could be Alabama. I mean, none of us really love the taste and style of that type of college basketball, but we saw Alabama get to a Final Four last year. If Vanderbilt knocks off St. Mary's and they don't have that matchup of styles drastic against St. Mary's there that they could trip up, they probably edge out BYU or Wisconsin, same style of ball. And then if Duke falls, like you mentioned, then Alabama's in. But Alabama-Duke is a great game in the Elite Eight if it gets there.
Yeah. I guess. I mean, that's pretty much. I mean, you guys want to touch on maybe Elite 8, Sweet 16 odds?
I read mine off, but you guys can.
I mean, I think I read off my Sweet 16 ones. Elite 8, I would say the ones that I had that were Memphis to me is a kind of a wild card. That's another one that I'll throw in there. Like, I mean, I'd be shocked if they won the national championship, but it's like from a talent level, I think they've proven this year in the non-con that they can beat some of the best teams in college basketball. Not a lot of other teams can do that, in my opinion. So, I mean, I know they have injuries, but what the fuck? I mean, I would say you don't get. It's almost like the Kansas play, right? Like where you have a roster that's probably more talented than their seeding. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'll throw that one out there. I think they could reach the Sweet 16 or Elite 8. There's value on both of that too. Mac, anything else you got?
For the Elite Eight, I like St. Mary's. I mean, we talked about it with that draw 5-1.
Anything in that region, I think you can actually convince me that Sweet 16, Elite Eight, maybe even Final Four. Yeah.
BYU. If you buy into that, they're going to stay hot plus 425 to get to the
VCU too. Don't rule them out.
Yeah, I mean, I think VCU is right there. I picked them to beat BYU and get to the Sweet 16. So yeah, I would take St. Mary's and VCU Sweet 16s and an Elite Eight on St. Mary's. I think maybe. I mean, what's Arizona to get to the Sweets or Arizona plus 450? Plus 450 on Arizona to make the Elite Eight. They're a high variance team. I mean,
they are. When they get hot, they could easily come out. If it wasn't Tommy Lloyd, that's what I'm saying. The Akron's going to beat them probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you win anything in that region. All right, we got another show we got to do, folks. So make sure you give us a follow at TCE on SGPN on Twitter, Moneyline Max on Twitter at Moneyline_Mac, Noah Bieniek on Twitter at NoahB77_ I'm on Twitter at DColbyD. And buckle up because we got a show in like 5 minutes here. So buckle the fuck up. Check out the college baseball experience, the college football experience, the FCS college football experience, and the sports gambling podcast. If you're in Vegas, let us know. I'll be out there tomorrow. Yeah. Looking forward to it all. Till next time, folks, this is the college basketball experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we are out of here.
My celling's off, so I can't be found. I'm on a worldwide tour, touring every fucking curtain down. They say the Lord watches over my sins, over my head, watching hair as it thins, over the ledge, it ain't letting me in. There's still regiments and relevance to letting me win. Win, lose or draw. You ain't prepared unless you all ready to lose it all. Losing a brawl? Yeah, that's a Friday day. Good friends know my Nina Hideaway. They came and went, but the riders stay. So it's like I won the lottery and can't be found until I resurface with the latest purchase. 33 and a third and 45 circles. You ain't got that shit. And I ain't 45.